Before anything else, subscribe to the channel right now, because what you are about to hear in the next few minutes could change the direction of your entire life. Hit the subscribe button, turn on the bell, and pay close attention to every single word, because this was made for you. There is a question that the greatest warriors in history asked themselves before every battle. It was not, "Will I win?" It was not, "Am I ready?" The question was something else entirely. The question was simple. The question that separated those who changed the world from those who merely watched was this: what happens if I do not act right now? Think about that for a second. What happens if you do not act right now? Alexander the Great was 22 years old when he crossed the Hellespont with fewer than 40,000 men to face the greatest empire the world had ever seen. His generals said it was impossible. His enemies laughed. But Alexander was not waiting for the right moment. He was not waiting to feel ready. He had made a decision long before the battle began. He had decided to act like the king he needed to be before he had even secured the crown. He had worn the mindset of victory before harvesting any of its fruit. And it was that decision, not the army, not the weapons, not the territory, it was that decision that changed the course of human history. Do you believe Alexander woke up motivated every single day? Do you believe he had no fear, that he looked at the map and felt no weight from it? Of course he did. But he had learned the oldest and most powerful secret in human history, the secret that the Roman Stoics called virtues. Virtue is not the absence of weakness. Virtue is acting in spite of it. Now think about your own life. How many times have you said, "I will start tomorrow"? How many times have you waited to feel ready? How many times have you looked at your goal and decided it was not yet the right time? Seneca, one of the greatest philosophers who ever lived, wrote something 2,000 years ago that you need to hear today. He said that the greatest flaw of fools is that they are always getting ready to begin living, always preparing, never starting. That was written 2,000 years ago, and it is exactly what is happening with you right now, with your life, with your dreams. You are getting ready to start living while life passes you by. Think about the Chinese bamboo tree. Farmers would plant this tree and water it every single day, every day without seeing anything. 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, nothing, no sprout, no sign. And in the 5th year, in just 9 weeks, the bamboo would grow 90 feet. 90 feet in 9 weeks. But everyone would ask, how long did it take to grow? The answer is not 9 weeks. The answer is 5 years and 9 weeks. Because for 5 years, while nobody could see anything, the roots were forming underground. If the farmer had stopped watering on any single one of those days, everything would have died. Everything would have been wasted. And that is exactly what happens when you quit. You do not realize you were about to reach year 5. The Japanese samurai had a concept called mushin, the state of no mind. A warrior who reached mushin did not think about the battle. He had trained so much, had repeated so much, had committed so deeply to his practice that when the moment arrived, the body simply knew what to do. There was no hesitation, there was no doubt, there was only pure action. And do you know what mushin looks like in your life? It is when you do things even without desire. It is when you execute even without motivation. It is when your commitment to who you are becoming is greater than your discomfort in the present moment. But here is the thing nobody tells you. Here is what they forget to mention when they talk about warriors and heroes and winners. They suffered. Every single one of them suffered in ways that most people will never understand. Leonidas and his 300 Spartans at Thermopylae knew they were going to die. They knew it. And still they advanced, not because they had no fear, not because they were immortal, but because there was something they valued more than their own survival. And you need to find that in yourself. You need to find what you value more than your comfort, more than your security, more than the opinion of people who will not even remember your name 300 years from now. Think about Joan of Arc, a 17-year-old peasant girl, no military training, no title, no logical reason to be heard, and she walked up to a king, looked him in the eyes, and told him she had been called to save France. Do you know what most people would have done in that moment? Stayed silent, out of fear of judgment, out of fear of looking crazy. But Joan had made a decision before she even knew if it would work. She had decided to act like the person she needed to be, and that decision changed the history of an entire nation. What is stopping you from making that same decision right now? Fear? Fear is a mile wide and an inch deep. It looks like an ocean when you are standing at the edge. But the moment you take that first step into it, you discover it was not that deep at all. You begin to walk through it, because courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is stepping into the fear and discovering you can breathe inside it. And here is what the history of the greatest has never told you openly. None of them arrived at the top alone, in the sense of having everything figured out before they started. All of them began in the middle of chaos. All of them began without guarantees. All of them began without knowing the end of their story. Napoleon Bonaparte did not know he would one day command the greatest army in Europe when he was a Corsican boy being called a foreigner at the French military academy. Lincoln did not know he would become the president who saved a nation when he failed in business, lost elections, and faced deep depression. They simply did not stop. They simply kept going, day after day, step after step. The rule of 100 states that if you invest 100 hours in a year, which is only 18 minutes per day, in any discipline, you will be better than 95% of the world in that discipline. 18 minutes. You do not have 18 minutes? Everyone has 18 minutes. The issue is not time. The issue was never time. The issue is priority. The issue is what you choose to do with the time you have. The great Roman emperors had an advisor who would stand beside them during victory parades, whispering in their ears, "Memento Mori." Remember that you will die, not as cruelty, as wisdom, as a reminder that time is limited, that every day that passes is one less day remaining, that every time you say, "I will do this tomorrow," you are betting that tomorrow will exist, and maybe it will, but the version of you who could have started today will no longer exist. That moment is gone. That opportunity is gone. That day is gone. How many Wednesdays do you have left? How many months? How many mornings in which you can wake up and decide to be different? The clock is running, and you have two paths before you right now. You can keep waiting to feel ready, keep waiting for the right moment, keep waiting for someone to come save you, support you, give you permission to begin. Or you can do what Alexander did, what Joan did, what Leonidas did, what every warrior history has never forgotten did. You can decide to act like the person you need to be before you feel like that person. Because here is the truth that historians understand but rarely teach in schools. The greatest figures in history were not shaped by favorable circumstances. They were shaped by the way they responded to impossible circumstances. What forged Alexander was not the wealth of Macedonia, it was the battlefield. What forged Lincoln was not early success. It was every failure he refused to let be the final chapter of his story. And now I need to ask you directly. If you knew with absolute certainty that you could not fail, what would be the great goal you would dare to dream? What would be the battle you would choose to fight? Because sometimes the answer to that question reveals exactly what you were placed on this earth to accomplish. And if you feel a trembling in your chest when you think about it, if you feel that mix of fear and desire that is impossible to ignore, pay attention to that feeling. It is calling you by name. It was calling you by name before you were even born. The greatest crime of your life will not be failing. The greatest crime will be reaching the end of your story without ever having tried. It will be looking back and seeing a whole life of safety purchased at the price of your dreams. It will be realizing that you had everything you needed inside of you, but you kept waiting for someone on the outside to come and confirm it. Nobody is coming. Nobody is going to knock on your door in the morning with a master plan for your salvation. People are busy with their own lives, their own fears, their own battles. And that is not cruelty. That is reality. And the reality is also this: you already have everything you need. You already carry within you what is necessary to cross what stands before you. The question is whether you will stop looking for it outside and start looking for it within. The bamboo is growing right now. Even if you cannot see it, the roots are forming. The silent work is being done, but only if you keep watering. Only if you do not quit before year 5. Only if you have the courage to do what needs to be done, even when there is no visible evidence it is working. The night never lasts forever. There is a morning coming in your life. But you have to keep moving in the darkness. You have to keep going even when you cannot see the end. You have to keep going even when the people around you stop. Because those who make it to the other side are exactly those who do not stop when everything says to stop. Start today, not tomorrow, not when conditions improve, not when you feel ready. Because you will never feel completely ready, and the world will not stop and wait until you do. The first step does not need to be perfect. It only needs to exist. And once it exists, the second step becomes easier, and the third. And what looked like an insurmountable mountain begins to reveal the path that was always there. This is your battle, and you are more prepared for it than you realize. History will not remember those who stayed safe. History will remember those who had the audacity to advance. Be that person. Decide now. Act now. Become now. Subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell so you do not miss the next video. Because in the next episode, we are going to talk about the men and women that history tried to erase, but who left a mark so deep that not even time was capable of erasing it, and what their journey can reveal about what is waiting for you on the other side of your fear. Do not miss it. The battle continues. The